Hello, favorite people. It's your favorite girl, Piolami, and this is the Young Minds Corner podcast. A space for honest conversation about the life of a young adult at the intersection of growth, faith, and real life. A corner that constantly reminds you that God can never, ever mismanage your life. So I say to you, welcome, welcome, welcome to another exciting, interesting, thoughtful, engaging episode of the Young Minds Corner podcast. You know, it's always a delight to talk to you, my favorite person in the world. And I thank you for clicking on this episode. Today, I want to talk about something that I know is crucial to your development, is crucial to your growth, is crucial to you as a being. Today, we are talking about who you are before the label, your identity. Today, we are driving into a conversation that relates so much with where we are going to, where we are right now, and how we are evolving into becoming a better version of ourselves. Because before you can know who you are, before you can know what you're going to become at the end of the day, you have to know who you are at the core. Today, we are talking about before the label, identity, who you are really. And I'll start by saying, what is identity? What is identity? Of course, in every conversation, we'll have to pick it from the grassroots of where this thought is coming from. And definitely, I would give a backstory on why we're having this conversation today. What is identity? Personally, I define identity as who you have recognized yourself as internally, who you have recognized yourself as internally. And many times we hear people when they talk about identity, the first thing they relate to is external. Oh, external, that's what people see. And that is not a good way to identify, right? That's not a good way to identify because everything people say about you is just a reflection of what they think about you and not who you are. And not who you are at the core. Now the backstory. So for someone like myself, I've realized that there was a time in my life that every time someone says something about me, there is a subconsciousness in myself that naturally wants me to be that person. So for example, and it's on the positive and on the negative side. So for example, if someone says, "Oh, Abiola is aggressive." Now, let's use that. Abiola is aggressive. There's a subconscious spirit in my mind that wants to tilt towards that. And that was because I did not know who I was. That was because I did not recognize my strength. I did not recognize my weakness. I did not recognize what the Lord has called me, who the Lord has called me, whose I am, what I am representing, who I am at the core. You see, identity is a very, very, very important part of our becoming as young adults. And I have seen that many of my family members, many of my age grade, many of my corner mates do not recognize themselves. And identity is one of the conversation. If you check down the episodes of the Young Man's Corner podcast, is one thing we've actually talked about. And this season, we're actually talking about it again because of where the podcast is right now, what we believe, the clarity we carry, and where we are going. So I want you to also journey with us as we go and also reflect on your insight, who you are, whose you are, and what you are meant to do. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know who you are, then you wouldn't know what you're meant to do. There's a popular saying that says, when the purpose of a thing is not known, then misuse is inevitable. That means if you do not know who you are, whose you are, then the possibility of you getting to know what you are meant to do, because you don't even have the manual, you don't even know like, are you a cop? So funny fact, I saw a video yesterday of a woman that was identifying as a dog. The woman was barking, acting like a dog, and all of a sudden a dog just came from nowhere and attacked this woman. Guess what she did? Guess what she did? She jumped up. She did not actually stood up. She jumped up. And that is actually the situation, the generation we find ourselves, where people don't even know who they are. They don't know what has been written concerning them. They don't have an anchor. They don't know who they are at the core. Everybody's just living vibes and inshallah. Vibes and vibes. Like, oh, we'll figure it out. Or we are figuring out our lives. We'll figure it out. At the end of the day, we'll figure it out. But the truth is, if you know who you are, then the possibility of you achieving better, achieving more, that someone who is trying to just figure it out, not knowing where they are, who they are, what they are meant to do in the season, and all those stuffs. The possibility of you achieving more than that person is on 100. Now that we've gotten that out of the line, I want us to talk about where we get identity from. I know there is a lot of conversation about identity online. And in a world where voices are everywhere, and even personally, I had to take some few steps back and not be online, because you can scroll for 5 minutes and encounter 100 people on social media. Different persons, different knowledge, especially when the year was just starting. Oh God, 100 ways to be a better person, 100,000 ways to do this, hundreds. There was a lot, and in a generation where information is, I don't want to use the word cheap, but knowledge is accessible. Yes, knowledge is accessible. You have to know who you are so you can know what to identify with. So now, let's talk about where we get this identity from. Identity from our thoughts and voices in our head. And this would also link back to social media. A lot of things fly around. And you see people acting as thought leaders when at the core of who they are, we don't know the energy, we don't know where the energy is coming from. And our mind is like a garden. And our eyes, our ears, our basic sensory organs are like the pipe that pass water to this garden. Right? So every time there is a negative altercation between your ear and the world, that same thing will be passed to your garden, which is your mind. And you would pick it, and subconsciously it seep into your garden. And of course, Yoruba people will say, what you water, what you plant is what you would receive. What you have been putting consistently on your garden is what you would see at the end of the day. If you put 10% of good and 90% of bad, I bet you, darling, you are going to be seeing bad. The core part of what your mind will be delivering to you would be bad. And that will lead me to talk about how our thoughts form our identity. I was listening to someone, of course, I'm a podcast junkie. So yes, I listen to a lot of conversations. So I was listening to a woman talk one day, and she was saying that something amazing happened to her. She said she was at the store and she saw a man, a very elderly man with his two beautiful ladies, and they were just having conversation at the mall. They were trying to get something, and boom, she saw it, and something from nowhere, she heard a voice, audible, telling her that you can't, you won't have that right. And she was so shocked, like, oh my goodness, who said that? But guess what? She just let it pass. She just let it seep in. Like, it was just really minute, right? And it just entered into her spirit, and that was it. Boof. She didn't see anything. Then she said that, oh, few weeks down the line, she was having a conversation with one of her friends, and the friend just said, oh, this person, will you like to have a child? Like, at this your age, will you like to have a child, or like get married and have your own children? And she said no. And that moment, it dawned on her that, why will I say no? Why will I say no to having children? She said she immediately excused herself from the conversation and went to the restroom and just talked to herself and say, you are definitely going to have children. And you're definitely going to have children. And personally, I've even had my own examples of where I battled thoughts. Someone told me something when I was still in school or thereabouts. This person said that you wouldn't battle thoughts with thoughts. Like, of course, there's a lot of passage of our ears, our eyes, even our body, our skin. There is a message is passing to our mind, and our mind is just definitely putting all these things together and backed up by the devil. Because if I don't say this, I don't know where this conversation is going to end. Because some of the negative thoughts, all of the negative thoughts that comes to your spirit or comes to your mind is from the pit of hell. I think I should just put that out there. Now, back to what I was saying. So this friend of mine told me that you don't battle thoughts with thoughts. Anytime a thought comes into your spirit and says, oh, Biola, you know that you're going to fail. You know that you're not going to be successful. Be quick to talk back. Be quick to vocalize with a strong word, with a word stronger than that thing, with a word stronger. And when I say a word stronger, I mean scripture, a belief that is stronger, that is written. Okay? So yes, you would take a word that is stronger than that thing and attack it immediately. Speak back immediately, because it's a note that's coming to your mind. Speak back. So as I was saying about this woman, she said she went to this restroom and she spoke back to this word, quoting scriptures and saying, no, I would have children because the Bible says that, oh, you'll be fruitful and you'll multiply. I said she became like a crazy woman in the toilet, talking back because she allowed the stuff seeping little by little, little by little. And it became like an ideology, a belief, an identity that obviously, like maybe a few years down the line, she would now be seeing herself as, oh, I'm 45, oh, I'm 40, I'm 30, and I don't have children and I don't mind. That is not our identity. That is not our identity. That was a thought that simmer to becoming an identity. Okay? That is an identity that came from a thought. And some identity comes from voices. And this will lead me to talking about childhood, how we grow, what happened in our lives, and all those stuff. As a child, I love to ask questions. I remember there was a time where my mom godson used to always say, oh, I'm so tired of you. You always ask me questions. Like, you cannot tell me one thing and I would not question it. No, I would have a question to ask you about it. And I was always that child that loved to ask questions. But something happened when we moved from where I was born to a new city, and I had to resume school in another place. In this school, I saw life differently. I experienced bully. Of course, I grew my thick skin because of all of these experiences. But what it did to me that really affected when I eventually got into the university and I wanted to present all the things that I have on my inside, let the world see, there was always this notion. There was always this subtle notion until I picked it, until I was able to arrest it and say, no, this is not who I am. This is not who I am. I love to ask questions. I love to bring people together. I love to have conversations. I love to feed my curiosity by asking right questions that I know that would help other people. I am not that child who is looking for people's validation. I am not that child that is timid. I'm not that person who is scared. I am not that person who is afraid to face anybody. Oh no, not me, not me, bro. No, not me. Not me. Until I had to pick it. But guess what? Everything I said, flip it to the other side. I was going through that because of the voices, because of the experiences that I had when I entered into another environment. It really almost teared the child in me apart. But until I was able to pick it and say, no, thus far and never, don't follow me. You can't follow me past this stage. And when we do not pick this identity quickly, it leads to us experiencing some things that would at the end of the day not make us achieve what we want to achieve. And I was able to say, no, we are not going yet. And another aspect is identity gotten by validation. So now, when I go to school, people would start to say certain things about me. And when they say this thing, I want to act in that way. I want to act like, oh, so person has said this about me. I think I have to perform like that thing. And that stole my joy, stole my peace, made me start to seek validation from where I do not have to seek validation from, make me have to start seeking permission to express myself. And hell, I was going through a whole lot of things until I picked it. And this would also lead me to talk about some of the dangers we experience when we do not know who we are at the core. When you do not know who you are, you will start to define yourself by the activity. When you do not know who you are at the core, you will stay in a place where you do not belong. You will stay in a place that do not align with who you are becoming. You will stay in a place performing because it felt like, oh, they're giving you validation. It felt like, oh, you have everything you need there. And that is because you do not know you do not know who you are, or whose you are, or what you represent. Not knowing who you are will lead you to start defining life on the basis of achievement and the lack of it. Because I built an identity around the Young Man's Corner podcast or the Just Real Me podcast when it started, when I stopped for a while, I felt like the whole world moved on. I felt like, oh, I was drowning. Oh, there was nothing interesting about me because I built an identity around that thing. And all of this did not just happen, but it happened because of the voices, the experiences I've had as a child that led to that point. When you do not know who you are or whose you are, you would constantly lose yourself trying to fit in. You will constantly lose the little percent of yourself that's supposed to come together and form a greater version. You would lose it to trying to fit it. Identity is very important in our being, in our evolving, in our becoming. Because how do you even become when you don't even know who you are? How do you become when you don't know whose you are? How do you become when you don't know what you are meant to become? Don't leave you. You know I would not leave you hanging. So here are some practical steps. Here are some practical steps that I have used in my life, and I want you to also use in yours as well, so that you would not be rigmaroling around the same spot, so that you would not be doing the same thing, expecting different results, so that you would not be wasting your time. I need you to do this important things. 1, be self-aware. What do I believe about myself? Why do I respond that way? Why do I react to that situation like that? So you have to know who you are so that you can dwell on your strength and not your weakness. Because of many of us don't know who we are, we show our weaknesses to the world instead of presenting our strength and working on our weaknesses. For example, you have a cup in your hand. You know the strength of a cup. You know what a cup can carry. You have a GP tank. You know the strength of a tank. You know what a GP tank can carry. Because you know you can identify these two elements. You know what this can do. You know what that can do. You know the capacity of each of them. You can use them well, better than someone who is trying to figure out, who is every time trying to figure out what a GP tank can do or what a cup can do. Oh no, you're going to suffer because the mileage you're going to cover as someone who identified these two elements and knows their strength would be farther than the other person. So yes, be self-aware, know who you are. Number 2 is reflection. Oh no, I talk about reflection a lot because I have seen it worked for me, and sometimes it can be negative because when I am trying to reflect, I can a little bit seep into overthinking. But that's not the conversation for today. Let's jump back to reflection. Okay. Thanks. So yes, reflection. Why do I react the way I reacted to that person? What shaped that thought? So yes, reflection is important. If you want to know who you are, then you have to be able to reflect. Why am I reacting this way? Why am I angry? What happened? And number 3 is, what does God say about you? You see, in a world where everybody has information, everybody wants to be thought leaders, everybody wants to give opinion, everybody has something to say about how your body looks like, you have to stay rooted in the one who has a reason for creating you. His word says, before I formed you, I knew you. So the reason why he brought you in this age and time where knowledge are there everywhere, there is a reason for that. The reason why he brought you in the form that he brought you, there is a reason for that. Why you are a female, there is a reason for that. Why you are a male, there's a reason for that. And it is written. So you just have to go to his word, his manual that he has written, his love letter that he has written, and go and check. Okay, yes, this is it. This is what the Lord has said about me. He said, I would be the head and not the tail. He said, nations will come to my rising. He said, he has given me a seasoned tongue. He said, go ye to the world, be fruitful and multiply, and subdue the earth. He has given me the power to plant and to build. So when you know what the Lord has said about you, when you know what God has written about you, you have a little assignment just to build on it. So you just have to sit into it and let it simmer into your spirit and sip in, just like those thoughts will sip in. And you find yourself doing the best, doing the most with little. And before I go, I just want to really chip in some benefit of knowing who you are, because when you don't know why you should know who you are, then you don't need to know. But when you know why, you would want to know, right? So one is that when you know who you are, there's a level of confidence. If you listen to the first episode of this season, there is a level of assurance you can listen to in my voice, because you're like, Biolami, there's something different about you, because I recorded that episode with a number of confidence, because I already know what we are doing. I know where we are going to. I know where we are standing. And honestly, you are more grounded because you know. You are more clear because you know. And this confidence is not arrogance. It is you knowing what you have and using it better. Number two is boundaries. A lot of persons believe that boundaries are for people, and that is a lie. Boundaries is about you. Boundaries is you knowing what you want to accept, what you want to present, and what you want to ignore. So if you are sure of who you are, you know your limits. You know what you can accept. You know what you can present to people, and you know what you can ignore. And let's go that. They exclude my body now. Waiting want for me, no see. If you carry paper for my body, if you do anything for me, if you scratch my skin. La. And that would build your boundaries because you already know who you are. You know what are your core values. You know what is holding you. To see a level of maturity. Oh, this one I can let it go. This one, I know how to manage it. This is what I am giving to the world. This one, I can accept it. No worry, we'll use our rubber body, clean out. Because the person already identified who he is and knows his boundary, what he can give, what he can take, what he can let go. When you know your identity, when you know who you are, when you do not allow the word label you, you have direction in your life. You know where you are going to because you know who you are. You're not confused, but rather you are more aligned to your core. Identity will give you a direction in your life, make you less confused and more aligned. Because you know who you are at the core, you stop performing. You stop trying to prove yourself every time. So yes, moment was just around the corner and a lot of persons was in attendance and all. Or imagine Biola me in that all. And I'm not trying to be myself. I'm trying to be like Adefe or Miss Techie. I'm trying to be like all those people. I'll be exhausted. Like, I don't think I will last 1 hour in that event because I'll be exhausted. Exhaustion will want to kill me because my mind will be calculating, my body will be calculating, oh, am I acting right? Because you are acting, because you're performing. And last and the most important of this is clarity in decision making. Clarity in decision making. When you know who you are, you know what you are, you know where you are going to. I had a conversation with my friend and the person was like, Kobiola, you can actually take this job. No. I said, me, mbano. Sufia aqua. Don't be me go take that kind of job. Not me, bruh. Not me. I'm not taking that. Nah. Not me. Because I know who I am. I know where I'm going to. I can decide what I want and what I do not want. Okay? So that being said, I have an assignment for you. Okay? Today we cannot have corners file. And honestly, I want to really just chip this in before I get into the assignments that I have for you. All right. I really just want to chip this in. I mean, getting amazing stories. I've been getting people's questions. And I'm so honored to receive those letters, to receive those files, to receive those stories, to receive those struggles. And I want to say that this is a corner that see you. Okay? I just wanted to let you know. And it's a corner that see you. And yes, we'll trash it one after the other. So yes, drink, chill, please. Drink omitutu. Okay? You'll be fine. All right, so back to the assignment that I have for you. So because of today we talked about identity. I want you to answer this 3 important questions and the conversation will be done. Okay? 1, I want you to answer them writing. When you're done writing them, you speak them out. 1 is that thing you believe about yourself right now. Who told you? Was it your parent? Was it your teacher? Was it your siblings? Your friends? Or you told yourself? Who told you? Number two is, what is that inner child still craving? What is that younger Abiola still craving? Oh my goodness, I can feel a shiver down my spine saying this. And I'm also going to do this assignment, do it just for the sake of growth, of clarity as well. Oh my God. What is that inner child still craving? And number three is, if you're stripped of all expectations about yourself, what will be left of you? Yeah. Those questions seem like a lot, but I know you can do this. And I beg you to please do it. If you are stripped of all of the expectation from your family, expectation from your siblings, expectations from your friends, expectations all over the world around you, if you are stripped of every of these things, what will be left of you? Hey, favorite person, I want you to know that identity is not what you do or your career, because a lot of persons believe that it is what they are doing. It is, oh, when they ask you, oh, who are you? They say, oh, I'm a business expert. Brr. Nah, bruh. That is not who you are. Identity is what you believe you are internally. What you constantly show up as. Identity is what God has called you to be. Identity is the belief of God, the notion of God. When it start to mold you, when it start to say, oh, Biola, you're going to Nigeria to the family of Mr. Olafin, and you're going to be their third child, but you're going to grow up to be a podcaster. Identity is what was in the mind of God when He started to craft your life. Thank you so much for visiting the corner today. It's always, always a delight to hear from you. So see you at the next episode. But while we wait for the next episode, please, please, and please do well to like and engage with all of the Young Minds Gonna post. You see that I've been trying. We've been trying. It's not only me, the team members and myself. We have been trying to always be on your face to remind you constantly that, oh, we are still here. The corner mates are still here. So please always do well to engage with our post, with your likes, with your comments, with your genuine comments and not emoji, so you know. Thank you very much. When you listen to the episode, please drop a comment. When you listen to any episode, please come on social media and drop a comment. So, because as you do that, the corner is becoming bigger, and it's not just becoming bigger, it is helping the algorithm to know or believe that this podcast is something and another person has to listen to, or something important, something reasonable. All right. So, thanks very much. Also, please don't forget to share this with someone you think would need it. Please share this with someone who needs it in your circle. And that person can be your friend, that person can be your elder brother, your younger brother. Please don't hold on. I know you love the corner, and I know that is, but let's us spread into the world and multiply. Okay? So please, so that we can make this corner bigger. Please, please, and please share with the world. Share with the world. And lastly, I know you're like, oh, you don't they beg too much these days, but please, I'm begging you. Follow the Young Men's Corner podcast on all of our social platforms at the Young Minds Corner _podcast on all of our social media platforms. And together, you know, it's a combination. It's a combination work. We'll make the corner bigger. Thank you so much for always Remember, I would always say this to you. You are a work in progress, and God can never mismanage your life. With love, your favorite girl, Biolami. Bye.